Hey guys, my name's Evan. Welcome to Country View Acres. So today we're going to be out working in the garden. We've got our fenced in garden area back here. We kind of cleaned that out last weekend. Today we're going to try to get it ready to plant. So what I've got here is I've got a 5-foot tiller that I borrowed from my dad, and I've got it on the back of the 2515. And we're basically going to add some amendments to the garden. We've got our own compost we made. We've got some other things we can add. We're going to get those all tilled in and just get the garden ready to be planted, because I'm probably 3-4 weeks behind getting the garden planted, so it'd be nice to finally get some plants in the ground. So our garden area has raised beds around the perimeter on 3 of the sides. Now on this back side over here, we actually have an opening just wide enough for us to get the small tractor in here and be able to till the garden. So first thing I want to do, we haven't tilled or added anything to this for at least 3 years. It's just been covered up with fabric. So this will be the first time we've broken this up in 3 years. So I just want to get in here with the tiller and just start loosening everything first. Then we'll come back, we'll add our amendments and mix those in. Well, that ended up going pretty smooth. I think I only tilled probably maybe 3 inches deep at the deepest, and went over the entire thing as best I could with the tiller. A little bit odd to try to get in around some of these spots, but let's look at this. I think it looks pretty good. So pretty broken up. I mean, there's a few little chips, but really that's pretty powdery right there. So I think it looks pretty good, and it's pretty even. Like everything in here is very even looking. Last time when I tilled this, it rained afterwards, and then it eroded out, and I had channels where the water had ran, and it made it like very uneven. So I'm hoping to not have that happen this time. So now I'm gonna head back to the compost pile, bring all of the compost up here and spread it out on the garden. And then I think I've got a couple more things that we can add to it before we till it up again. So I emptied the compost bin. I think I got 9 bucket loads to add to the garden. Now it still wasn't quite enough. You can see this far end right here doesn't have any compost on it, but I think we've got it on at least 2/3 of the garden. So, you know, anything we can add to the garden is better than nothing. And I've got a few other things that I can add to the garden I think will be beneficial. It's just stuff I got lying around, so might as well put it to good use. So I've got a full bale of peat moss. This is left over from growing chestnut seeds. When I cold stratify them in the refrigerator, I put them in peat moss. And then this is Milorganite. Probably saying that wrong. This is a recycled product. It's not really, it says it's eco-friendly. It's not considered organic, but it's recycled. It's like a light nitrogen fertilizer. And then in here, if I can get it open, this is wood ash from the fireplace and the wood stove in the workshop. So out of all 3 of these, the worst one is going to be the wood ash because it's going to instantaneously want to blow away. It's a little windy today, but a lot of people will know that the wood ash will help raise the pH of your soil, but there's also biochar in there. There's also different minerals and stuff, so it's going to add a lot more to the soil than just raising the pH. And then I think that the peat moss, of course, it's going to add more organic matter to our clay soil because this is clay soil and it's broken up pretty good. It's looking a lot better than when we first put this garden in. And the more organic matter you can get in the clay soil, the better it's going to end up being. And then, of course, I think the Milorganite, or however you say that, that's just going to add some nitrogen to the soil as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and start spreading these out on the garden, and then we'll start to till it up one more time. So this fertilizer is a 640. It's a very light fertilizer, so I don't think I'm gonna damage any plants with it. So the last thing is the ash, and the wind's already trying to blow it out of the can. So appears that the wind is coming from that direction. So I'm gonna have my back to the wind, and I'm just gonna carry this can and try to spread it as best I can. But it's definitely gonna be blowing around. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and start getting this all tilled in and work back up. And after I tilled it the first time, I could realize that I need to do a certain pattern so that I don't really drive over where I tilled so much. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the very sides on each side, and then I'm gonna do these corners. And then at the very end, I'm basically going to do the middle. And then that way, as I'm doing the middle, I can drive straight out of the fence line here. And I think I'll have it very smooth when I'm done, and I won't have drived over it very much. Well, I think that turned out pretty good. That is very smooth. There's only a couple tractor tracks back over here, and then there's a couple feet of one right there. I mean, overall, this is really smooth. I think it turned out pretty good. So I use the woven ground cover fabric to put over this and plant our plants in the holes. Well, if you've ever tried to put that stuff down in loose soil like this, it does not want to stay down. You use these landscaping staples to hold it down, and this loose soil won't do it. So what I want to do is going to achieve two things. One, we're going to compact the soil back down by using a sprinkler on it. Just lightly sprinkling this, trying to get the water to work down in there and try to get this to firm up a little bit. The other thing that's going to achieve is I want it to firm up so that it doesn't wash away in a thunderstorm and we have a chance of rain. So I'm gonna go ahead and set the sprinkler up, and we're just gonna lightly sprinkle this thing just to compact it a little bit, and that's gonna help the fabric go down a lot better. So let me see if I can get that set up. So there was a couple mistakes that I don't think got caught on camera. So these openings right here, this one is actually smaller and this one is bigger. They're not exactly the same size. And I went through this one just fine every time. Now this one, I ended up hitting the post with the tiller. So you can see where I scraped the post. I think I did that twice on that post. And then this post, I hit it once and I chipped off the side right there. So if I was gonna go back and do this again, I would probably, instead of just having two bays open where I can drive through, I probably would have the other two, almost like this whole end where I could just drive in and out. I'd probably use temporary posts instead and probably just put some kind of stock panel, some kind of removable panel in here to keep the animals out. It won't match the rest of the garden. That's the reason I put all these posts on there, so everything kind of looks the same. But it sure would make it a lot easier to get in and out with the tractor and to till it. Because there's no way I'm going to till that all by hand. When you got a tractor, you might as well use a tractor, right? So I'm going to probably let that sprinkler run for, I don't know, half hour to an hour probably. Get this side of the garden. I'm going to have to move it to the other side and then start getting it wet, trying to get everything even. I don't want so much water that it starts to run off. I want it to absorb and pack down. And we'll just slowly work it with the sprinkler and try to compact that down. Hopefully it'll probably be next weekend before we get back out here. We'll put our fabric down. Brand new fabric this year. It's 15 feet wide. So I'm really hoping 3 pieces of it will cover the whole garden. And we'll burn all new holes in it and put it down and get everything planted. So hopefully next week we'll have the garden planted. Any of this stuff we added to it I think is going to help. You know, anything to improve the soil quality a little bit more, get some minerals, get some nutrients and stuff in there. So I think this is definitely going to help. Like this has been 3 years since at least 3 years since we've added anything to this garden area into the soil. So this is definitely going to help. But I think that's going to be it for this video, guys. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.